Welcome to the Purpose and Possibility podcast. This is your host, Laura Murphy, founder of Soulbody. Join me for inspiring conversations with people who are living on purpose, living into their purpose, and who just might open you up to new and bigger possibility. Welcome. You have made it to the very first episode of the Purpose and Possibility podcast. I am honored to have you listening. If there's anyone listening, hello, it's podcast number 1. And I am honored to invite you on this journey that is about to unfold with this podcast. Can we start by taking a breath together and seeing how that feels? So breathing in through your nose and out. Well, so what do I want to do today? I wanted to give you a little glimpse into what we're going to do here with the podcast. I want to give you a little glimpse into who I am and what you can expect in this space, and just see what else wants to come up today and just have a little fun with it. So who am I? Big question. So my name is Laura Murphy. I'm the founder of Soulbody. I am a marketer. I'm a Leo. I'm a projector. I'm a Newfoundlander. If any of that means anything to you. I mean, of course, I'm a Leo. I'm starting a podcast. Hello. Someone asked me my opinion. I'm here for it. That's a big question because we're so conditioned to want to say our job title after we say our name. And I certainly believe that we're so much more than that. And that's part of why I'm starting this podcast. Why am I starting this podcast? Purpose and possibility. So my entire life, I've been a seeker, and I've always known, like deep within every cell of my body, I've known that this thing called life that people are telling me that I need to live in a certain way, I've always known there's something more. I mean, the idea of you go to school, you go to university, you get a job, you get a pension, you retire, and then you start living, which when I grew up, that was like the pinnacle of living. That was like, you have made it. That is success if that's how you're living. And I was always like, no, there's something more. I need passion. I need purpose. I need maybe even a sprinkle of chaos. I need excitement. I need fun, and I need it to be creative. And people thought I was crazy. Hello, I am not crazy. And if that's crazy, then I don't want to not be crazy. So I've always been a seeker of purpose, and I'll dive more into that when I talk about my own journey. But I've also really been lit up about hearing about people who choose to live life differently, who choose to veer from that path that we're told is quote unquote success. And they create a life that they want on their own terms. I've always been so inspired by that mainly because I've been envious of that. But it's always inspired me and almost given me permission to be like, no, there's more. There's something different. There's something else out there that's possible for all of us. And my hope in all this, and this is where the possibility side comes in, is that these conversations that I have, both the solo conversations that I have with myself, it sounds kind of funny, and the conversations that I have with people who inspire me, my hope is that it opens you up to something bigger. Maybe it sparks a curiosity in you. Maybe it gives you permission, or whatever it is you need to open up to a possibility that is bigger than what's in your present day life. I truly believe that we all have desires of a life that we want. I believe that those desires go far deeper than the physical things, the items that we can purchase. And I believe that that life that we're seeking is possible. And I think our only limit is us, essentially. And I think that, the conditioning and the doubt and the fears and the voices of other people, those are the things that stand in our way to our biggest possibility. And I sometimes think our thinking mind doesn't even know what's possible for us. And when we come into our heart and we, just take a fearless step, new possibility can open up. And that's what we're going to explore. So my hope in all of this is that whatever you take away from this opens you up to something a little bit bigger. Start getting curious. I have a meditation mentor who I love dearly, and she in the very first class told us to be the curious explorers of our own life. And I truly believe that is how we make life more meaningful, and that is how we really start living, is when we start getting curious about what's going on in our own life and under the surface, so that we can open up to big possibility. So that's what we're going to do here. So like I said, I will be having conversations and kind of just when moments of inspiration and patterns of thought come to me, I will be doing solo podcasts, and I will be inviting on people who inspire me, people who are near and dear to my heart, people who I aspire to talk to. So if there's ever anyone that you're like, they have a cool story, I think you should speak to them, please reach out to me. I am so open. I want to give you what you guys are looking for. So welcome on this journey. It won't be perfect, but it will be fun, and fun for me at least. You'll probably hear my dog in the background some days, my neighbors, but you know what? This is life. And I, for a long time, have hid behind the idea that it has to be perfect before it's out there. And this is me proving to myself and hopefully inspiring you to know that there's no such thing as perfect. Just start doing things that light your heart up. So what is Soulbody? So I built that container about 3 years ago, and honestly, I didn't know what it was going to be. I, at the time, was on a journey to becoming a yoga teacher. I'm even hesitant in saying that. It's so funny. It seems like such a distant thing. I was doing Reiki. I was going to make it a blog. I didn't really know what I wanted to be, but I just knew that this word came to me, soul body. And it's like the connection between our body, our heart, our soul, our potential, our possibility, everything. And I knew it was going to bring all that together. So the expression that it is today, it is a hub for transformation that is centered around the breath, because I truly believe the breath is the gateway to coming into your body. It is the gateway to opening your heart. It is the gateway to your purpose. It is literally everything. It is actually everything. So the expression that it takes is meditation and predominantly breath work, which I'll get into a bit more, self-mastery or self-sovereignty, or just taking ownership of our own healing and deepening through digital courses. And then there's a container for transformation through one-on-one coaching, which I'll get into at some point as well, I'm sure. So that is what I am doing with Soulbody. On the other side of things, I'm also a marketer. I think I mentioned that at the beginning, which I only a little bit still hold on to that title. Or resonate with that title. My journey through purpose to get me to today. How long do we have? Can we open a glass of wine, a bottle of wine? Like I said, I've always been a seeker, and I remember, and I'm going to touch on certain points that were really pivotal in my journey to get me to today. And by no means have I reached the destination of purpose. And I truly believe, and a big switch for me recently has been, it's not about the destination. It's not about the title, because I so badly wanted to fit my purpose into a title. I wanted it to fit into the box of, hi, I'm Laura. I am a fill in the blank. It would have made it so easy for my thinking brain to just fit my purpose into a really concise and understandable job title. But it's so much more than that. And I'm truly believing these days that it's all about the journey, and really it's about expressing who we are in our own heart. That is the spoiler to the end of the story. But I'll touch on certain moments in my own journey that were really pivotal and that I feel like you can probably relate to. I remember it kind of began so clearly, and how and I do curse a little bit and I apologize for that, but how fucked up is this? So I remember very clearly the day in high school sitting in the cafeteria with like a school counselor or something like that, or a career counselor. And I had done one of those like standardized tests where like with a pencil you fill in the bubbles and they put it through this like computer and it spits out answers to you and it like tells you what you should be based on this test. It tells you what you should be doing for the rest of your life. And like, I just remember at that moment, like, this seems crazy to me that a piece of paper and a computer can tell me what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, did that not seem crazy to anybody else? And I remember even reflecting back on it, like, as I progressed through my career as a marketer, I'm like, who thought it was a good idea to let 17 and 18-year-old us decide what we wanted to do with the rest of our life? Like, that seems crazy. We don't know who the fuck we are when we are 17 and 18. I like barely know who I am now and I'm in my late 30s. But to like let that version of you choose the path that you're going to take, that's supposed to give you meaning and supposed to give you everything that you need. It just seems like crazy to me that we don't, that's how life works. Anyhow, I remember that moment and the like piece of paper came back and was like, you're going to be a journalist, or you're going to be a teacher, or you're going to be a nurse or a social worker. And I was just like, I don't really like any of those. What's my next choice? So I started university, as we all do, because back when I was growing up, that's the thing that you did. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I kind of just like bounced around a little bit. I have two older brothers who both got a business degree, and my oldest brother, I remember him working in a marketing job that was like cool. He was doing cool things like events and things like that. And just, it seemed really lavish to me. And he's like, just do marketing. You'll like it. You'll get to be creative. You get to do fun things. And I was like, all right, sounds cool. Like there's no other options for me. So that's why I decided to do marketing. I remember having conversations with my mom and dad through university of like what I wanted to be. And my mom, God bless her. You'll hear me talk about her a little bit. She's a real hoot. I remember her telling me there's two things I don't want you to be in this world. One is a rock star and two is a teacher, which is ironic considering both her and my dad were teachers. But I find it very humorous that she would even fathom that this singing voice of mine could become a rock star. I couldn't play piano. I was like not very musically inclined. I don't know why she would think that. Anyhow, so I went through university, and the whole time I was just like, there's got to be something else to this. Like business school was fun, and that's why I stuck with it. It was like the most fun of all the degrees, I guess. And like, hello, I'm a Leo, the life of the party. Let me toss my hair around a little bit and have a good time. So I did that, and there was work terms, and I just liked the idea of making money while I was in school, and that like I could make money. Just like the whole concept of like, I could make money was really fun. So I just like followed down that path. And when I started my career to where I am now, like I moved jobs a lot. I thought I would find purpose through the jobs that I had. And I would hit a point in all of those jobs between 1 and 2.5 years where I was just like, there's gotta be something else here. There's like, this can't be it. And it would get to the point in some of these places where it literally felt like it was sucking the life out of me. Like I was dying a slow death every single day. I remember in certain jobs I would see, the one job in particular here in Vancouver, the office was in Yaletown, which is like, a super hip area. And I would see this guy who would be walking dogs, like 12 dogs. And I just remember thinking like, that is my dream job. Like that he is living his best life. And you could tell he was like walking down the street like he was feeling his vibe. He was living his best life. I'm like, that to me is living the fucking dream. Not this job, not this sales job I was in at the time where I was making cold calls. Like, hell's no. It's also the job that I would walk to crying every single day before it started. Anyhow, I thought purpose would be found in a job title. And I just remember like talking to family and talking to friends and just saying like, I just want to follow my passion and find my purpose. And they're just like, that is not how life works. you don't do that for a living. You don't get paid to do that. You do that from 5 to 9 after you finish your job, after you clock hours in. And I was just like, no, that's not going to cut it for me. There has to be something more. So I just kept searching and searching and searching. And I, would move jobs, and then I would always blame it on, my unhappiness with where I was. I would blame it on my boss, or I would blame it on the specific job I was in, or the company, or whatever. It's usually the coworkers that I actually really liked, and that's what kept me going to work, because I'm a social person, and like we'd have some fun. But I would always blame it on that for not satisfying whatever it was in me that I was looking for. So I kept searching, and I remember, so I moved to Vancouver. There was a point that I went through a pretty big breakup in my life. So I went through a divorce, and I just decided that I wanted to start over. Some would say I ran away, which today I can probably say that I was, but I needed to put the pieces of me back together. I needed to heal. I needed a break from all of it. And 9 years ago, I quit my job in Newfoundland. It was a great job. Again, like government, publicly funded institution. I had a pension. I could literally have worked there for the rest of my life, which on paper was like, that is what you do. That is considered success. And all I wanted to do was like open a coffee shop. Anyhow, I quit that job, and I was just like, I'm moving to Vancouver. And I got on a plane on August 15th, 2012, with my dog and 4 suitcases. I'd never been to this city, but I just knew that that's where I needed to be. I also hate winter. So it was a really great place to move, because it doesn't experience winter the same way that Newfoundland does, as an island in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. So I got here, and again, I was like, this is where I'm going to find my purpose. At the time, I remember seeing a counselor who was helping me kind of like transition through the breakup and just like sort through my emotions and everything. And I was like, I'm moving, and I'm going to work at Lululemon, and I'm going to teach yoga. Ironically enough, I've done both. I've like achieved both. But that's like what I was coming out here to do. Turns out a lot of other people were coming out here to do the same thing. However, that's what I was going to start pursuing. So I just like ended up back getting a corporate job almost as soon as I landed. And I hated every second of it. Again, it was just like sucking the life out of me. I was walking to work crying every day, knowing that there had to be something more. And I remember so clearly one night, I remember where I was sitting, like it was yesterday. Like I remember where I was sitting in my apartment, and I had my laptop open, and I was Googling how to find my purpose. I'm like, if I can't figure it out, Google can definitely figure it out. Because like, what can't you Google, right? Over like 2 billion search results came up, and I'm like, okay, one of these will have to have my specific purpose in there somewhere. And I did every quiz, read every article, I did every personality test, like continued down the journey. I saw healers, I saw psychics. I'm like, you please just tell me what I'm here to do, and I will do it. And it was like frustrating the fuck out of me that I couldn't find the thing. Like, I am this. And it got to the point where I was like, I think I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to like step away from my career, and I'm going to go find it. So about 4.5, 5 years ago, I quit my job. Great job. Like literally on paper, again, the most perfect job, living my best life here in Vancouver. I quit my job. I sold everything I owned. I brought my dog back to Newfoundland, and I just was like, I'm taking a year, and I'm going to go traveling, and I'm going to go find myself, i.e. find my purpose. Hot tip, or spoiler alert, I should say, I did not find my purpose. New Zealand didn't have it. Bali didn't have it. It wasn't in India. It wasn't in Thailand. And all the places in between that I was. They did not have Lauren Murphy's purpose. Could have saved me a lot of money and some time and some anguish, but the experience I got was incredible. So on that journey, I did get my yoga teacher training, which also kind of just sparked something in me. So when I was going through my divorce, I started a yoga practice. Actually, before that, I started a yoga practice. I found like a lady who did it in her house. So like, it was just like some super hippy dippy lady who was like doing yoga in her house. And I was just like, this is cool. I love it. But when I was going through my divorce in particular, I went really deep into a yoga practice because I found it was the only moments of peace that I could find where my mind wasn't racing, my emotions weren't turning, I wasn't in chaos. It was just like a moment of just stillness and silence. And it was a hot yoga, so it was sweat, and it was just like moments. And I wanted to create that again. So I went and did my yoga teacher training, which was great. And it was like super physical because we were doing yoga for like hours and hours a day. But what I really found out I loved was like the slow stuff, the slow, juicy movements and peaceful moments. So like yoga nidra and the yin style stuff, because it helped bring me into my body, which like at that point, you know, until recently, I don't know what it felt like to really be in my body. And I'm sure I'll talk a little bit more about that on this journey as well. But it just really sparked something in me. Like, I actually don't think it's the practice of yoga that I'm really searching for. I think it's something deeper. And it was just, you know, yoga was a breadcrumb and it led me to something else. So when I went to New Zealand, I traveled around, you know, searching for my purpose, thinking I was going to build this like nomad career. I went to New Zealand and I did a yin teacher training, which is very slow. You hold poses for like 5 minutes at a time. It can be very emotional when something unlocks in your body. Like we used to say the issues are in the tissues. When you unlock something in your body, you can get this flood of emotion. And it was incredible and I loved it. And when I came back to Vancouver, I was like, I'm going to teach yoga, which like turns out didn't pay rent in Vancouver very well. So like I did teach some yoga, but then I like went back to a corporate career and I was just like, no, it's going to be different this time. I'm only going to work for companies that are really meaningful to me, et cetera, et cetera. But I still had that feeling of emptiness, of like, it's not quite it. And again, yin was like, it was like another breadcrumb. I was just like, okay, so this is interesting and I really like it, but I think I want something else. And then this meditation teacher training kind of just appeared on my social media feed. And I was like, that is it. I'm going to go do that. And honestly, it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I remember coming out of a deep meditation. We did like 20-minute meditations and stuff. And I remember coming out of a meditation really early in the training and looking at the teacher and I was just like, do people know about this? Like this whole meditation thing. How come everybody's not doing this? Because I had reached this like experience of just being so fully present that I could like it sounds like you're on drugs, but like I could be with the air in the room and I could feel my body there, but like thoughts were distant and my worries were distant and I was just so present and I was just like, how is everybody not doing this? And I just kept going because it was just, that was so incredible. And then I got a Reiki training, which again, I was just like, this is super cool. And I actually did the Reiki training more for myself and my own healing because I started getting into energy and into spirituality and just like healing of oneself. And I thought like, maybe this is something that I can do and I could add to like what I offer people and like in the search for my purpose kind of thing. But it's still like, wasn't quite it. It was a breadcrumb. I kept going. And I remember one day I kept hearing people talk about breath work. And I was just like, at the time I was going to any and every event. I would go to moon events. I would go to like speakers and just whatever. I was willing to go to anything. One, to meet people here in Vancouver, and two, just to like experience something new and new depths of my own healing. And I ended up in a breathwork class. And to say it changed my life, I know that sounds dramatic, and you'll hear me be dramatic a few times probably. Again, I'm a Leo, come on. But to say it changed my life would probably be an understatement. In that moment, so it was a 90-minute event where we did like some deep meditation and she did a little like intuitive channeling, which was like all new to me. And I thought I was going into just like breathe a little, meditate a little, I'd come out feeling great. But like what actually happened was like, I was one with the universe. My like dead grandfather was speaking to me and I could hear like everyone in the room breathing. And it was just like the most intense. And I just like cracked open and I cried and I cried and I cried. a lot, and did some like healing that I had been searching for around the breakup that I had held on to, that like talk therapy couldn't help me with. It was something deep in me that I needed to heal, and I took it to a new depth of healing. And that was all from the first session. So like to say it was like moving was probably an understatement. And when I left, I was like, that's it. That is the thing. And I kind of just like let it sit for a while. And I ended up going to another breathwork event like the week later. And in the name of the person who had trained these people kept coming up. And I think I heard him on a podcast that week. And I think it was like 3 or 4 times in that week that I had heard his name. And I was like, okay, there's something here for me. I'm just going to like Google when the training is. And there was training and it was in California. And I was just like, I'm doing it. Whatever. I signed up. That was 2 years ago. And I've been holding space in breathwork and practicing breathwork ever since. And I really feel like it's through breathwork that I've gotten the clarity on who I am and who I'm here to be and what's possible for me. I can't speak highly enough, and I will get into more about breathwork in the future, but I don't believe I would have gotten to breathwork if it hadn't been for like my exploration and interest in yoga and then meditation and like going deeper and deeper. Like I feel like all of these things are little breadcrumbs that lead to the next thing. But sometimes we can be so focused on getting to the thing that we miss these little clues along the way. Like life is a game, right? Like these clues along the way. We can force ourselves to get somewhere, but like if we actually pay attention and listen, like the world, like the universe is showing us where we need to go. And I actually believe our heart is guiding us to where we need to go. It's through breath work that I've been able to connect to that wisdom that sits in my heart, where it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do about this? And then I hear an answer like from deep within me that I know is truth. And that leads me to today. So for a long time, I've still been, working in marketing and jumping from job to job and a lot of tech startups here in Vancouver. And then finally, after like literally 7 years of applying for a job, I got a job at the company that I wanted to work with the most. And it's a real mindfuck getting what you wanted most, because it was like, Laura has her dream job. And I remember hearing my mom say that, like, oh, your dad ran into your friend and he said, oh yeah, Laura's working her dream job. And I remember those words felt like a punch in the gut for me, because I was like, yes, it was my dream job. And it actually, I thought it was going to be the thing that like brought me the most meaning, and it didn't. And that was like a real mind fuck. And I think that it was at that point, and it wasn't until I got that job that I was just like, why am I seeking outside of myself for purpose? And why am I looking for a job or a job title to bring me purpose? Because like if someone had told me like when I was 18 that your purpose is to work at this company and you're going to be, working with influencers, like at the time, influencers didn't exist. Like they were the celebrities in the magazine. Like, no. So it goes to show that like purpose evolves. That's why I'm like bringing that up. But it was like in that period of like working there that I think I just put the brakes on seeking, on like looking outside of myself for something to fill me up and fulfill me and to be my purpose. And I started, so I worked with a mentor. So Susie Batiste ran her first, the first time she's ever run her like group program called Alive OS. And she was like, I wanted to work with her. That was like what I wanted to manifest. So I got into the program, and I remember in one of the very first classes, she was like, if there's something you're not happy with in your life, your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And I was like, I don't like it. Nope, not for me. That means I have to take accountability. That means I am an active participant. I don't think so. That's not true. And I resisted and resisted and resisted. I'm really good at resisting, by the way. It's the Leo in me. It's, I'm stubborn. I resisted it, and it was only over the last like year and a half that it started to unfold even more, like, oh, I get it. All of these things that I'm looking for to give my life meaning and purpose aren't going to happen outside of me. Which leads me to a big aha moment that I had this year, that I actually, and this came to me in a breathwork session, I actually believe our purpose here is to be so fully in our hearts and aligned with our hearts that it's unbearable to be anything else. To live the life that, of shoulds and of expectations, or of, that our parents want us to live. We need to live a life that's so aligned with our own heart. And I know I'm speaking from a place of privilege when I say that. And I know, or I acknowledge that I'm speaking from a place of privilege, and I know that's not possible for everyone. And it's easy for me to say, not having children, and I can make decisions for myself and sorry, that's the neighbors upstairs, and my dog, actually. But I just think that regardless of your situation, there is always an opportunity for you to, one, tune into your heart, two, get curious about, what's going on in your external world, and three, take the smallest, ever so slight action to come into alignment with your heart. And that's what I think it's all about. So outside of me turning my focus inward rather than seeking outwardly for my purpose, the second big aha that I had this year was that it's not about the destination. You don't get to a point and are like, I am in my purpose. Like, this is it. I have made it. Because what is life after that? I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that it is the journey. And we often get so lost in the destination that we forget the journey. If I hadn't been curious on my journey from starting with yoga to moving to the next, to the next, to the next, and even those things, they are just tools. Those things are just tools, and they are an expression of me aligning with the purpose that's in my heart. But they are not the purpose of my heart. My purpose isn't to be a breathwork facilitator in this expression of who I am, who Laura Murphy is in 2021. Yes, it is to be a guide when it comes to breathwork. I truly believe that my purpose is to be of service and to help people on their journey through life. And the expression that it takes is the expression that it's taking right now. So through things like breathwork and meditation and self-inquiry, etc., etc. And it was like a big switch went off in my head. And it's like, no, you are here to be you and to peel back. And this is like what breathwork does. It helps you peel back the layers of defense from things like broken hearts and traumas and, the things that happen to us throughout our life. So to peel back those wounds and to peel back the layers of protection and of hiding and of conditioning of like shit that's not even ours. Like beliefs that society has put on us on like what you should be and who you should, I was going to say who you should do, but like, who you should, whatever, the things that you're supposed to do here on this world. Society has like a norm of like what is considered right and what is considered successful. And when we start peeling back the layers of all of that, we get to an essence that is ours. And it may be really, really uncomfortable, and it may be really, really unclear. But in our heart of hearts is our essence, and our job in this world is to live into that. And again, I don't know if we ever get there because we're human and we pick up conditioning and we pick up beliefs and we pick up different things as we move through life. However, it's all about the journey of being you. And you'll often hear me say in breathwork, who are you here to be? And like, who are you really here to embody? And it's a trick question. The answer is you. So I truly believe that living your purpose is coming so fully into your heart that it's unbearable to be any other way. And that's where I've made it with purpose, Today, my expression is 1, a podcast. It's 2, through Soulbody. It's 3, through work I do with other people. It's even a little bit of marketing. God forbid. I hate to say it, but it's still a little bit of an expression of my purpose. Long story short, I actually ended up quitting that job, my dream job. In the middle of a pandemic, because that's what you do. My dream job became unbearable to the point that I burnt out. And it was like, I loved my job. I loved my boss. I loved the company. I loved the people I work with, but it was not right. And because of that, I was carrying the stress, and it was so not right in my soul that I ended up burning out. Because I believe sometimes burning out is actually is when something is not right. It's something is off in your life. So long story short, I ended up walking away from my dream job, and I'm stepping more fully into my purpose. Do I believe that you have to quit your job to live your purpose? Absolutely not. So please don't think that this is what the podcast is all about, because that is not. You may quite happily work a job for the rest of your life and, I don't know, restore furniture on the side, or like something that lights you up so much. Some people find it unbearable to work a job for somebody else. Other people, more bearable. Again, we're also humans in this 3D world. So, yeah, I think that's where I wanted to take this today, just to give you a little insight into my journey, a little insight into what we're going to do here on the podcast, and my hope for you when you come onto this journey with me. We will dive more into breathwork in another session or in another podcast, and more into like the nitty gritty of some of this, and just like some of the thoughts and ideas that I have. In the meantime, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening for this long. I think we're like 37 minutes of me talking about my life and my story and what got me to here. So if you take nothing else away from this podcast today, here is what I want you to take away. Grab your pen, be ready. Get curious. Get curious about your life, and that there could be a possibility bigger than we can even imagine that we could step into. It is not about the destination, and it's more so about the journey. So rather than trying to death grip that destination, I invite you to soften that grip a little bit and ease into the journey. Because oftentimes our struggles come from gripping so tightly to something we think we want that we miss what we actually need. And third thing, come a little more fully into your heart, because that is where your purpose sits. So if you are someone who is seeking something bigger, something deeper, something more meaningful, come into your heart. And I can't say that enough, especially when you find yourself in those chaotic moments. And I like to call them heady moments. Come into your heart. How do I do that? I'm a very tangible person, so you'll hear me say that a lot. Well, Laura, how do I do that? Hand over heart. Breathe into your chest. Breathe into your heart. And take a conscious breath. It is as simple as that. That heart connection brings you out of your head, brings you into your heart, and creates breathing room for the wisdom of your heart to find its way out. With that, I think we'll close on that note. Thank you for joining me on this, my journey into the podcast world. Thank you for listening and lending me your ear. I know there's a lot of content out there and a lot of distractions out there. So I am honored that you choose to spend a little bit of your day with me. And if there's anything that you want to hear on here that I haven't talked about, or that you're not sure if I'm going to talk about, please reach out to me. I want to know. I want to know what you want to know, and let's go there. And I will close by saying this. Until next week, try to have a little fun. Take care. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard and the message resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, give us a 5-star rating. And if you think someone else needs this message, please forward it to them. For daily updates and inspo, you can follow us on Instagram at soulbody.co. Until then, I'll catch you next week.